Okay, so let's get started. Hello, Zoom people. This is a program called Realign Your Pelvis. We did our first class last week. They asked me, because of a scheduling conflict or something, starting February 9th, I believe it is, can we do the class on Wednesday at 9:30 instead of Tuesday? Is that a problem for anybody?
Yeah, I can. We have sit and sit here.
Then they're not having that class. Are there only a couple people in it?
We have about the same amount like.
Okay, so what I'll do,
Then is that only for one time?
no, they want to change it permanently, which tells me if they're sit and fit here, they're not going to do sit and fit. But I'll bring Sherry in. Excuse me, can Sherry come in for a second and explain the schedule change?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay,
So we will change the permanently, the sit and fit will be on another day.
right, I told her I'd ask you because some people can't. Can you make it on a Wednesday at 9:30? You can, everybody can?
Yeah.
Okay, I would assume if they're asking me to do Wednesday at 9:30, then they're not doing sit and fit.
And then sit and fit maybe on Tuesday.
Question for you, Wednesday at 9:30? Okay,
And sit and fit on Tuesday.
They're gonna have to cancel that for a little bit.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You can't do it on Tuesday?
We don't have to be able to use this from Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we have to condense our classes to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Why? Is there any regulations?
Now it's vaccinations. Because vaccinations. But that's, we're still working on it. We just have to prepare to have this from Tuesday open. That we do on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It is, but now we can move this medication.
Sherry,
What is medication?
Medication is on Thursday, but I just found out right now, so now I'm scrambling to try to change up today. So this wouldn't be in effect this week or next week. It would be the week of February 8th. Okay, so I've got a lot more to do to try to reschedule everything. But can you all make a Wednesday at 9:30? Yeah.
okay. Can we move this chair back a little bit? It's cutting me off at the chest.
Can we ask Linda?
Is it better?
Okay, that's better.
Linda,
Perfect.
are you able to switch this class to Wednesdays at 9:30? You're on mute. You're on mute, Linda.
Yes, I think I can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Nope.
February 9th.
February 9th. Okay. So next.
No, it's going to be February 10th. It's going to be Wednesday.
Yeah, move it back, correct. Yes. Correct. So we'll remind everybody.
Yeah, so the next 2 weeks will be Tuesday, which will bring us, so we'll be starting it on,
It'll only be this week and next week, Tuesday, and then we'll go.
the Wednesday at
So
9:30.
that's gonna be 3 more classes for you.
Mm-hmm,
Because next week will be.
right, right.
And then after that. Correct. Until, I think we don't know, I don't know how long. Until, right, until. But the good news is, we're moving in that direction, that we can get everybody who wants it to have to.
So what we should do is force people to take a class before they get their vaccination. Okay,
All right.
so let's get started. So once again, Zoom people, this is Realign Your Pelvis. We started last week. How did you guys make out with the homework? Okay? Have you identified your pelvis point? Zoom people, it's about 3 inches below the navel. Okay? So, yes. Yes. Mhm. Yes. Oh, the vacuum. The vacuum is difficult. Did you try it lying down? Okay. Okay, so we'll work on that today. The vacuum is really tough because it's a mind-muscle connection. it would, and I'm using this analogy all the time now, it's the equivalent if you're right-handed and I give you a pen and tell you to write a paragraph with your left hand. And that's the same thing. So we will go over the vacuum shortly, but let's identify our pelvic points about 3 inches below the navel. Take that point and bring it backwards towards your spine. Now, when I do this, I feel this in both sacroiliac joints. So right in here in the lower back. The cool thing about that, I mentioned last week, the sacroiliac joints, their prime job is to transfer weight from the upper body to the lower body and vice versa. And when we were kids and doing cartwheels in the backyard, actually I was not, but I was watching the girls do them, our upper body was connected to our lower body. And I know that sounds foolish, but that's what the sacroiliac joints do. So let's take the pelvic point about 3 inches below your navel. And as you're learning, you put your finger there and bring that back to the spine. So when you do that, you have a little bit of a pelvic tilt and you feel it in the lower back. You feel it? Good. Killer posture today, by the way. Okay, pelvic point, hold it in. And once again, I feel this right in the sacroiliac joints. I feel it right here on both sides. Okay, take a break. Now, ideally, we want that pelvic pulled in pretty much every time we're standing. But you don't have to worry about thinking about it. If you just practice it enough, eventually it's going to do it on its own. Okay, 3 inches below the navel, put your finger there and take that point and bring it closer to your spine. Bring it backwards. And when you do that, you feel a little bit of a pelvic tilt. Hold that, breathe into it, nice and relaxed, but don't lose that position. So in theory, if we're activating this whole area and the pelvis is sitting the way it's supposed to, we're now able to transfer weight from our upper body down to our lower body and back and forth, just like we did when we were kids.
Which means our spine on the side would look like we have a little bit more of a curve, slightly, right?
Maybe a little bit, but it's actually pelvis.
Yeah.
It's pelvis and sacrum.
Yeah. That's my
Okay, pelvic point in. When I do that, I feel these muscles here activate. Does anybody else? Okay, good. Yeah, because I'm just pulling this in, and now it changes the position of your pelvis, and then this starts activating. It should, yes. Depends what's going on with the back.
I was sore last week for the first couple of days. I was just really from just the class and
Sore in the muscles. Yeah. Now, as I mentioned last week, and I am too, I'm sure also, I'm in the gym. I train on average 3 to 4 times a day, 7 days a week, okay? And the fact that I'm taking this point here and bringing it back like a 1/4 of an inch, and I'm sore afterwards, obviously I'm doing something wrong. Okay, bring it back, hold it, feel it in the lower back, feel it here, and just kind of relax, but hold that position. That's the way we used to stand when we were younger. And it feels very uncomfortable now because we haven't. Yep, yep. And that is excellent. Zoom people, Carol just mentioned her dad used to make her stand this way. Our parents and grandparents were so big on posture. Sit up straight, stand up straight. I know some people that their grandmothers had them walk with a book on their head. And nowadays, if you take a look at younger parents, they're doing this, you know? And they don't even realize what's going on with themselves and their kids, and they won't, you know, until they hit like their 40s, 50s, and then they're gonna realize there's a problem. Okay, one more time, identify the pelvic point. Once again, I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but this is the most important thing. So I'm getting sore, I'm getting fatigued back here, Renata. Same thing, yep.
It was interesting. I was shocked because I have to I was staying straight just because of my legs and everything. And it's like, I was surprised it was so difficult for me.
Yep, that's right, it would be more difficult for you.
Yeah, and even more. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Okay, now you can have a seat. So Jeannie, I hope you don't mind, going to continue to tell my classes and private clients about your slope story, because that's huge. And that's all software. That's all messages going back and forth. Oh, please do. Please do, I'll put it on my website. Okay, so now we're sitting without your back against the chair. Really good sitting posture. So have about maybe 6 inches between your back and the back of the chair. Find your pelvis point, pull it in, and now all I want you to think about is finding the sweet spot where it's the most comfortable to sit, okay? So, I mean, we have these things back here actually called sit bones, and just kind of rock on those until you find, backwards and forwards, until you find the sitting posture that feels the most comfortable. What? The baby with the ball, exactly. Did I tell you this story last week? The baby with the ball, yeah, that's still amazing. If you have a chance to study movement with me or study it with a 2-year-old, pick the 2-year-old every time. Every time. They won't give you any cues or tell you how to do things because they figured it out themselves. But it's amazing. Okay, so rock, find the spot. Now, the spot you find where you're the most comfortable may not be comfortable because it's been a long time since we sat like this. So right now, all your sitting posture is killer. But this is very tiring because we're used to this. I see my wife once a week because we work opposite schedules. She works nights. So if we're watching television or a movie and I'm having a glass of Merlot or something, like halfway through the glass, I'm like this, and it's like, what are you doing? Okay. Find the spot, rock forwards and backwards. She does not. She has her own routine. Okay. Now take the pelvic point, pull it in, feel your sit bones. How many of you find this a little bit tiring? Yeah. In the back, yeah. Right. This was easy when we were 7. We didn't have to think about it. Okay, now, if you recall other classes, getting long, let's lift the rib cage up. When we do that, you may notice that it's taking a little weight off of the lower back because now these muscles are firing more. Okay, take a break. Exactly. What's that? Yes, after a while, if you were to do this all the time, after like a couple of weeks, your posture would be better, but you wouldn't have to think about it. So if I were to focus on this like every day for a month, I probably wouldn't ever have to focus on it again. My body's automatically going to do it. Good question. I want to say yes. So the question was, does this help you get off of the chair? And the reason you mentioned that is you were in my balance program yesterday, where we were working on how to get the best way to get out of the chair. This will, first of all, if you remember yesterday, I was saying if you're back here, your heels are too far away from your hips to generate optimal power. You remember, you took the program. And it was always come forward, so now my hips are closer to my heels and ankles. Now, if we're sitting like this, we're supported here, okay? So yeah, it will be easier to get out of a chair. Because if you're totally relaxed, you gotta do this. If you're supported, this happens.
You have your quads, connected.
Yeah. So keep in mind, working the sacroiliac joint with the pelvic point, that's transferring upper body weight to the lower body, and that's getting out of the chair pretty much. So yes, excellent question. Okay, rock, find your spot. Get a little taller, Jeannie. There you go. The problem is you were tall before, and you stopped a little bit because you're getting tired back here. You're just ridiculous, Natalie. Just ridiculous. It is a compliment. Yes, if I call you ridiculous, an animal, or a beast, that's a compliment. Okay? So just hang out. Rock a little, find your spot. So your sit bones are right in here, and we want to be on those. Bring the pelvic point back, and just hang. Really good posture. You haven't like buzzed in like 2 minutes. That's excellent.
I would see myself doing this on the sofa.
Exactly. So question, I don't see myself doing this on the sofa. Exactly, because first of all, you don't have you have the padding. The seats are deep. Sofas are designed to do this. I always joke with my wife that if I had picked the furniture, it would have just been like a handful of metal folding chairs. That's why I don't get to pick the furniture.
That would have been a big problem.
That would have been a big problem, yes. Okay, take a break. Did you see how you just got up? That was powerful. Really good. Renata, I have to train you for the 2024 Olympic Games.
I can't stand still.
You can't stand still.
Well, actually, you could do this while we talk too.
Do it all the time. Yeah. So once again, right now, my pelvic point is in, but I don't feel it so much in the back because we just worked on it sitting. And ideally, that's what we're looking for. Okay. Let's find our pelvic point again. And we're now going to shift. We're going to do some tilting. So forwards, hold the pelvic point, backwards, forwards, nice and slow. Think about just moving the pelvis, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, nice and slow, Natalie. Natalie does nothing slow. Okay, forwards, Nancy, backwards. Kind of tough to make the mind muscle connection on how to do it, or maybe it's just a distance. I can't see it as well. Janet, forwards, find your pelvic point, forwards, backwards. So the movement is starting here and here. No. All you're thinking about is the pelvic point. Moving it backwards and then pelvis. It's tough because what we're doing now is we're isolating the pelvis, which we normally don't do, okay? Because everything's so tight through here, you're thinking this or this, but we just want to isolate the pelvis and the sacroiliac joints. The pelvic point, and then forward, backwards. This is kind of like a 1-inch movement. I feel it right in the sacroiliac joints, which is where we should because they're sliding now when we do this. So practice this a little bit. Good. So it's like this much of a movement, but you can feel it. Okay, go ahead. Yep, you got it. Slow now. Good. Nancy? You feeling the movement? Okay. You feeling the movement, Janet?
Yeah.
Jeannie? Okay, sit down and take a break. What we're doing with these anterior and posterior pelvic tilts is we're waking up this area because we never move it. And once again, I'll use the same analogy. It's like trying to write a paragraph with your left hand if you're right-handed. Okay, now we're going to work on the vacuum. So continue sitting, take a break. It's amazing how tired or how fatigued I am right in here. It's like a 3-inch window. Why? Because we were moving our pelvis while we were sitting. So that lets me know how weak I am back here, even though I'm in the gym a lot. Okay, the vacuum, what I'll do is I'll get a picture of a bodybuilder doing the vacuum, and I'll bring it in next week so you take a look at it, because then maybe it'll be easier to figure it out. You will see some bodybuilders, so they're big, and they're doing a vacuum, and it seems like all their internal organs here have been sucked underneath their rib cage. It's like from the side, their waist is like this, even though they're that large. So, first thing you want to do, it's easier to do lying down, okay? You are then going to take a breath and exhale fully, just force. As soon as I do that, I then take my pelvic point and everything else and pull it in and up. And you feel it right here. So let's go with you first, Natalie. Stand up, please. Did you see her explode out of the chair? You're a beast. Okay, big breath and then blow it all out really hard. Okay, now suck on the stomach. Okay, so I just saw your shirt move inwards. So you nice and tight through here, okay? You do this lying down, you have the benefit of gravity pushing you down anyway, so it makes it a little easier.
Hold it in.
Hold it in. Hold it in. Now, what we're doing here, if you remember when we were doing the pelvic point and standing and sitting, you could feel these muscles start to activate. The vacuum works these muscles big time. And the beauty of it is twofold. One, it's good for our health. Second, your waist is going to get smaller or appear to be smaller even if it isn't. Okay? Because once these muscles start firing, they're going to give you almost like a V taper and flatter. Okay, one more time. So Zoom people, once again, big breath, blow it out forcibly, and then suck in the stomach. I don't know if you can see it when I do it. It's kind of a distance. Okay, Nancy, let's try. Okay, so you're taking a deep breath and then you're blowing every molecule of that breath out and then suck in the stomach. You feeling it through here? Yep, good. Try it again, exhale, or inhale, that's it, and then boom. So I can see little creases in your sweater when you hit the vacuum because it's going in. Good. Janet? You got up beautifully there. That was really good. Okay, deep breath, blow it all out. Now, suck in the stomach. All right, did you see what happened there? She blew all the air out, this happened, and then as soon as she hit the vacuum, these muscles fired, and you went like this. All right, try it again. Now hit the vacuum. Perfect. I could see the front of her pelvis right here go in. So now we're working from here all the way through here. Excellent. Jeannie, deep breath, blow it all out. Now suck on the stomach. Nice. Did you see how that was forceful when she did that? All right, let's try it again. Boom. That was really good. So when she hits the vacuum, it changes her entire posture. And that's what we're looking for. Now, if you do the vacuum enough, after a while, your body starts doing it on its own. Okay?
Spray, that's why I like the spray.
Yes. Okay, deep breath. Blow it all out. Every bit. Hit the vacuum. Good. Nice and tight in there. Let's try it again. Blow all the air out and hit the vacuum. Boom. You can see it. Now, the cool thing is you guys are starting to make the mind-muscle connection because you're doing it so forcefully. I'm saying this, okay? Before it was kind of the message was getting there and you're getting a little tight. Really good. Carol, blow all the air out. Hit it. Okay, let's do it again. Feeling it through here? No, yeah, I could tell. Okay. Blow it all out, and now suck the stomach in without the air. Okay, I'll do it with you. So deep breath through the nose, blow it all out through the mouth, and now suck in the stomach. Now you took air in. It looked like it from here. I don't know, I can't tell with a mask. Okay, so let's do this. Get long and take your pelvic point and bring it into your spine. Good. And then take these muscles and tighten them up. Okay, so your posture just changed a little bit. Good. It's a tough move to make the mind-muscle connection. If you do it lying down on your bed or if you get down on the floor and do it, it'll be easier. Okay, so once again, Zoom people, we're taking a deep breath, blowing it all out, and then sucking the stomach in hard. And hold it. Feel the muscles contract, hold it. Cool, huh?
And this one here gets really like almost like a stone, really hard. This one
Yes,
between the ribs.
yes.
Interesting.
Yep. Okay, sit down, take a break. So this is a really hard one to do with the mind-muscle connection, but you pretty much all have it now. And a couple of you, when you were doing it, I saw this happen because now the message is going there. It's getting the signal. Okay, no back against the chair, please. You people in the back, I can see you. So when you think about it, we started off with the pelvic point and a few different things that made this area really fatigued. Right now, I'm slightly fatigued through here, okay? So we just had an excellent core workout without really moving. Absolutely, absolutely. So there are 3 different muscle contractions when you're working out. So for instance, if you're doing bicep curls, this is the concentric contraction. The eccentric contraction is going down. So I see a lot of people in the gym and they're doing this, okay? You're stimulating more muscle growth by going down slower on the eccentric. And then the third way you can do it is isometric, which would be just holding it, okay? With the vacuum, we're doing an isometric contraction. But it's definitely gonna help the core, like all through here. And you don't have to do a million sit-ups or crunches or whatever, which are awful for you anyway. I wish I had known that for the first 50 years I was training. What's that?
The crunches.
No, no. Reason being, when you're doing crunches, you have a muscle here called the psoas. It comes down here, goes underneath the groin, and attaches to the spine in the back here. It is stronger than our abdominals. So if you've done other programs with me before, I always say the brain is going to look for the easiest and the safest way to do things, okay? If you're doing crunches, since the psoas is stronger than the abdominals, the brain is going to use the strongest muscle because it's easier. So the first 50 years I was training and doing sit-ups and crunches, I was working my psoas, which is a hip flexor, which gets jacked up just from sitting. So unless you have, the other thing with crunches or sit-ups is the neck is going into flexion, okay? So if I'm doing a crunch, this is happening, which is the way we sit anyway, okay? And when we sit, and especially as we age, this starts to happen. So why strengthen that even further with crunches or sit-ups? Like I said, I found out 6 months ago that I've been training my abdominals wrong for 52 years. Yeah. And then once again, if you take a look at movement software, say for instance, you start taking piano lessons and you're doing a C scale and you practice it 1,000 times, but one note you practice wrong every single time. What have you now done? You've created a motor program in the brain on the bad stuff. Okay, now you have to undo all that. So as one doctor says, he says it's like hitting save on your computer on a really, really bad document. Okay, and it makes sense because that's what we're doing. So if I'm doing a C major scale and the third note, I flatten it and make it a flat instead of a regular, and I practice that countless times, then now I've created that bad motor program, which is difficult to do. So all the time we're doing sit-ups and crunches and the body's automatically using the psoas, the hip flexor, we're hitting save on a really, really bad document. Make sense? Okay. Okay, get to the side of your chair, please.
Behind or sitting?
Standing, I'm sorry. Okay, now we're going to kind of strengthen the area, the muscles of the pelvis, and we're also going to see if we have an asymmetry. So one side is different than the other. And most people have asymmetries, including myself. So, just one knee up. And just hold it. Bring it back. Don't touch the floor. Forward. You should be focusing on stability on the leg that's on the floor. But think pelvis. Think right through here. Okay, other side. Knee up. One side feel safer, more stable than the other? Yeah? Okay, take a break. So think about it. If one side is more stable than the other, when we're walking, brain's going to look for the easiest and the safest. It's going to shift weight to that stronger side. You remember when we were doing lower body stability and I had you do the steps and it was very difficult to alternate because the brain is always saying, let's use the stronger, safer side. Especially when we get made the steps higher, because then the brain is saying, okay, this is, huh? It was awful, right? Yeah, you didn't dig the steps. Yeah, well, that's because of the knees. But as we get higher with the steps, and I would tell people to alternate, they had difficulties doing that because the brain is like, this is higher than usual. I don't like this. Let's use the strong, safe side. Okay, let's do this again. Knee up. Back. up. Now I want you to take your pelvic point and bring it into your spine. See how the pelvis shifts even more on just one leg? Hold that. Now I'm more stable now, holding that pelvic point. Okay, take a break. Did you notice what happened when you did that? Okay. All right, we're looking, transferring upper body weight to the lower body, down by the sacroiliac joints. So when we first started, we weren't activating the pelvic point. As soon as we did, the sacroiliac joints kicked into gear, and all of a sudden we're more stable. Did everybody feel that? Yeah. Yep. Okay, other side. Don't worry about the pelvic point right now. This is an experiment. Hold the knee up. Now, take your pelvic point and bring it back to the spine. And what happens? More stable? Yeah. Okay, sit down, take a break.
How many breaks?
What's that?
How many breaks?
How many breaks?
Yeah.
I like to do quite a few of them just for like a minute or so, because keep in mind, for the last 40 minutes, we've been changing the position of our pelvis, okay? Right now, back here and right in here, I'm feeling fatigued. And ideally, this is a corrective exercise program, not a physical exercise. So I think I may have mentioned last week, when COVID is done and there's no more masks and no more social distancing, I'm putting together a program called Senior Playground. And it's going to be like we're taking recess in 4th grade. I haven't figured out how we're going to do it yet, but it's going to be fun. Maybe some kickball or dodgeball with balloons, but it's going to be movement and laughter.
Like when we started.
Right, right. But everything has changed now. So physical exercise, I have no problem doing, but for some people in the class, I want to be kind of hands-on because of balance and stability issues. So more corrective here. Okay. So let's stand up again and let's do the rocking of the legs at first without the pelvic point and then with the pelvic point. Now, the reason we do this, I saw a college track athlete, female, one of the best in the country, okay? You get up on this leg, easy. Get up on this leg, she would lose her balance every single time because of an asymmetry. But the reason she was one of the best in the country, and this is true with all athletes, they compensate better. If they have an asymmetry or a movement problem, their brain figures out what they can do with their body to compensate for that. And that's why they are better athletes than we are. Good? Okay, now take your pelvic point, bring it back to the spine. You should feel the opposite hip with the leg on the ground. That should have moved, or the pelvis should have. But right now, I'm much more stable. Anytime I feel like I'm going to lose my balance, I take my pelvic point, bring it back to the spine, and I'm more stable. Okay? Other side. So right now, I'm kind of rocking. Pelvic point, and the rocking stops. Because once again, we've activated the sacroiliac joint, which is transferring upper body weight to the lower body, so we're more stable.
Right, and the whole hip, leg muscular muscles tighten up to the normal.
Right, they become active as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Let's go to a lunge stance, so 1 foot forward. Jeannie, take your left heel and bring it out to the side. Nope, other way. So what happens is when we get in a lunge position, the back foot wants to do this because it helps with our balance. That's the brain keeping us safe. Okay, Zoom people. grab the side of your chair, big step forward, and just kind of get the feel of that position. Now, take your pelvic point and bring it back towards the spine, 3 inches below the navel. Take that point, bring it back to the spine, and you should feel a different feel in your lower back and pelvis. You felt it? Now you're more stable. And just kind of hang out, but hold the pelvic point. If you took my other programs and we were getting long, you want to get into embrace. You want to get into a position where you can be in this position without like holding your breath and breathing normally. Because that way you can do it in daily life. Okay, other side. Take your pelvic point, bring it back to the spine. Spread your feet a little wider. Okay, now try it. Pelvic point back. There, you're a little more stable now. Natalie is like a rock. What's that? You can't tell? You look like I could go over and give you a big shove and you wouldn't move. You grew like a half an inch or an inch since you started this class today. You're very tall because everything's fine. You too. Because everything's firing in here and it keeps us from doing this. Okay, other leg, please. Get nice and long. Take your pelvic point 3 inches below your navel and bring that point towards the spine. And you feel your pelvis shift. That is killer posture. Killer posture. You're feeling everything firing here? Yeah. We're getting a great core workout in this class without doing anything. I know.
But I feel it also in my back and the iliac points.
Yep. So your sacroiliac joints are right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And once again, they transfer upper body weight to the lower body. So ideally, if you do this enough, you can just go out in the backyard and do cartwheels. Just like when you were 6. Okay, sit down, take a break. I know Natalie doesn't like breaks, but...
Oh, no, I like breaks.
Zoom members, if you would like the homework for this class or any questions, I'm at Steve Avellino, Avellino @yahoo.com, or you can contact me on my website, reverseagingprocesses.com. Okay, any pain? No? Good. During the lunge. Okay. So Nancy just said pain or discomfort? Okay, right. So muscular fatigue underneath the right shoulder blade, which makes sense because we're in a unilateral. Now, which leg was forward? Do you remember? Okay, that's okay. I have a pretty good idea which one was. My guess, and I could be wrong, but my guess was the left side, okay? Because we have there are 2 lines of fascia, connective tissue, that one starts at the right hip and goes to the left shoulder. The other one starts at the left hip and goes to the right shoulder. So they make an X, front and back. So that may have been it. But the other thing is too, with the unilateral movement, we're here. So we already have a little difference going on where the pelvis wants to go all over the place. We take the pelvic point and bring it back. And now because we're in this pattern, as opposed to this pattern, it's going to affect things differently. So that doesn't surprise me. You could have a trigger point in there, like a little tightness. And then when you get into this position, whichever side it was on, that could have caused a little stretch as well. Okay? Yes.
I noticed that when I had my left foot, when my foot back here, it touches with my arm,
Mm-hmm.
I was still shaking.
Yep.
Compared to the right is forward.
Mm-hmm. So once again, we all have asymmetries.
Because I had ankle surgery.
That makes sense. That makes sense. We all have asymmetries for whatever reason. Yours may be because of the ankle surgery. But once again, that college runner who could do this all day long, but this, she kept falling, there's an asymmetry. We can have a left-right asymmetry or front-back asymmetry. But through functional movement screening, we can find out what the asymmetries are and correct them more often than not. More often than not. Okay. So, stand up, please. And we're going to work on the two things that have been the most difficult for us. Vacuum is one of them. So let's start off by making the mind-muscle connection with the pelvis. So take your pelvic point, 3 inches below the navel, bring it back to the spine. Now you're feeling it in the lower back. Really good posture. And now pelvis forward, pelvis back. Pelvis forward, pelvis back. You got it, Natalie. So once again, this is probably maybe a half-inch movement. Now I feel this in the sacroiliac joints, which makes sense because they slide, like they slide when we walk. So this is kind of the same thing, except they're going in unison. Pelvic point, back, and then pelvic tilt. Just focus, close your eyes if you need to, and just focus on the pelvis, going backwards and forwards. This is doing a couple of things. First of all, it's activating all the muscles around there. Second of all, it's giving us a little of a glide, okay? So what I mean by that, the sacroiliac joints are now moving a little bit in the joint. Everybody feel it? And that makes sense as well. Depending on how tight you are through here. So for instance, I find myself crossing my right leg over my left leg pretty much all the time if I don't think about it. Why? Because I'm tight through here, so the brain says, this is easier, okay? So in turn, I have to work on 2 muscle groups on this side all the time to loosen them up because they've been tighter than the other side for probably 30 or 40 years. So that does not surprise me. That does not surprise me. If there's pain associated with it, the question then becomes, is it muscle pain or joint pain? You would guess joint pain, okay. So if that's the case, we have to start taking it a little easier in class. So take a couple moves off, especially this move, okay? Because first of all, the body's not used to it. Yeah, we haven't done it in years. How many people are doing the moves on the floor or the bed in the different positions? I know you were for a while. You're doing them? How are they coming? Okay? Yeah.
You mean the one way to open the legs and then you...
Yeah, so for Zoom students, you can do this on the floor or on your bed. So I have the feet together. I'll do that for a while. Then I cross one side. So because of all the work we've done on the sacroiliac joint, that's where I'm feeling these moves now. I'm feeling them pull this way. And then other side. Yeah, so huge difference. That's tight hip flexors on your left side. So the hip flexors, we go into what is called a 90-90. So our knees are at 90-degree angles. The back leg is the one that's getting stretched right through here. Now, take your left knee and bring it back further. You feeling a pull here? Those are your hip flexors. Other side. The further back you bring this knee, the more of a stretch you're going to get in the hip flexors.
And here this side, I feel it on this side here.
Mm-hmm.
It's very swollen here.
Mm-hmm. Pain or just pulling?
Just pulling.
Okay, and then the other thing, you can just have one leg straight. So do these in bed, and you don't have to force them, but I have a private client, super tight hip flexors on the left side, really tight for years, which pull her this way. Because if these muscles are tight and they shorten, this is gonna happen. So I can spend like a half hour on the floor with her, and after the half an hour, she gets up, she's much looser here, and she's standing straight because these muscles aren't pulling her down. Now, the reason I suggest these at home, if you do these in bed, is because it's loosening up all these muscles around the pelvis. Okay? All right, so let's finish up with the most difficult one, and that is the vacuum. So once again, we're going to stand tall, Zoom people. We're going to take our pelvic point, which is 3 inches, roughly 3 inches below the navel. And you are going to take that point and bring it into the spine. Bring it close, pull it backwards towards the spine. Deep breath. Blow it all out, every bit. And then suck the stomach in here. Okay, so you can see maybe from where you're sitting, when she did that, her stomach did this. I could see it the way the shirt moved. So I could go over right now and punch you in the stomach and it probably wouldn't bother you. But you said up here felt like stone.
Yeah, here, this one, here.
Yep.
Exactly, it's like stone, it's so tight, it's neat.
Yeah, isn't it cool?
Yeah.
And now all we did is we just woke these muscles up. So let's try it again. Pelvic point 3 inches below the navel, bring that into your spine. Big breath. Blow it all out. And then suck in the stomach. Hold it. Hold it. Okay, take a break. We're going to do a few more of these.
And while we hold it, not breathing.
Don't breathe. It's an isometric contraction. Okay, we want to tighten that up and work it. Your posture and your posture today are phenomenal. Really good. Pelvic point, 3 inches below the navel, bring it to the spine. Does everybody find bringing your pelvic point back down is easier? So you've been doing it for the week? Okay, good. Big breath. Blow it all out and suck in the stomach. So I'm feeling this right here. Okay. Now, when we do get tall and we're lifting the rib cage, these muscles are tightening. Okay? Did you try the vacuum at home lying down? Okay. So just try to work through it. I know you're having some issues with it. You're having some issues with it. And it's just basically making the mind muscle connection. So I've been doing it so much, I can just stand here. I can be in a line and just, boom, do this. So I don't know if you see a difference in my shirt. You can see? So all this is firing now. And like you said, you do it enough, that becomes stone, which is cool.
Yeah, and I can see what that you said, that you feel like your waist is getting smaller.
Right. So I'm training this dancer. She's 47, and she was working in New York City, then COVID shut down everything. So she put on some pounds and she's not pleased with herself. So I'm having her do a lot of the vacuums, not only because they work, but for the psychological part of it. Okay? Because when you do this feels smaller, it feels tighter, and that helps us psychologically too, especially with her. Okay, let's do it again. Pelvic point back to the spine, big breath. Exhale. blow it all out, suck in the stomach. Your waist looks smaller. Because, well, think about it. If I don't even know if I can do it. If I can force it out, okay? So I have a belly there. If I vacuum, that's probably a 2-inch difference from here to here, right? I'll take the 2-inch difference in my waist size any day. Me too. Of course, I did have a giant bowl of pasta and chicken last night, which probably didn't help. Okay, one more time. Stand nice and long, take the pelvic point, bring it to the spine, big breath. Blow it all out. Now suck in the stomach and hold it. Hold it. Good. We are done. Did you feel any difference the last time you did it? Because you got taller. Yep. Yep. Well, okay, so you don't feel it sucking in. Okay. Practice it this week. Try to do it a lot. When you finally make the mind-muscle connection, you'll have it. Okay? Nice job, everyone. So we're Tuesday next week. The week after is the 9th, so it will be Wednesday the 10th. So next week, normal Tuesday.